What is up, YouTube? It is Ranee B bringing you that homicidal tea. What if I told y'all that there was a school teacher that was all involved in threesomes and sordid sexual encounters with local family-owned business folk? It's not quite that seductive, and it really sucks how she got sucked into it. So if you guys want to see more stories like this and want to achieve this look, I suggest that you like and subscribe. That helps me out a whole lot. You guys have no idea how that really does help me, because it lets me know that you guys like the content, and then I'll continue doing it, because I had no idea that anybody besides my family and my immediate friends were watching. And see, like my girl, Vanity Molina, that diva, she goes and comments and lets me know about this other story that happened that was close to that Farmersville story that I told y'all about. Well, it turns out that's a really creeper story that I'm going to do in one of my other ones. And I have an idea for stories that are short like that, to do shorts, like focusing on just lips or just how I do my eyelashes, because if you guys aren't doing this, you guys are missing out on one of the biggest eyelash hacks ever. It's such a lifesaver. I do it at the gym every morning on weekdays when I go to the gym before work and I get ready there, because I shower and everything. I know COVID, whatever. Do my lashes in a poorly lit thing, just like boom, boom, boom. Guess what? Now who's fucking flawless? Okay, girl. Yes, yes, it's so easy. So I'm thinking about doing like the smaller cases and to focus on smaller things, you know, maybe short little videos, so you're not, you know, having to hang on for 30 minutes of me just dribbling on and on, talking and like I'm doing right now. So let's just get to the video.
Melissa Jenkins's memorial is ultimately bringing everyone together.
I feel bad for that little boy. How could anybody do that to leave him motherless?
All right, we are gonna just jump right in to this one. This one's, oh, I'm sure I already talked about in the intro, but this is oh, this is crazy. When I was watching this episode, I was just like, dude, I gotta do this one. So well, let's just jump right in, like I already said. On March 26, 2012, I believe it was, this gentleman by the name of Ron Jacobs, he was driving around looking for his friend because he had gotten a call from her earlier in that evening saying, hey, I'm just letting you know, I'm letting somebody know that I was called by some people that I know to help them because their car needed a jump. So just FYI, that's where I'm going to be. So he was like, okay, cool, whatever. Well, this was like her because she was a school teacher and she was, you know, a single mom, and she just basically had her shit together, and she knew that if she was leaving the house like that, it's good to let somebody know, you know, so that you know where, you know, to look for you just in case something happens. You never know with crazies that like you have. But after a while, he noticed that he hadn't heard back from her. So he got in his car and started driving around the back streets of Vermont. Couldn't find her anywhere. But then after a while, he came across a car that was on the side of the road, got closer. It was her vehicle. He was like, okay, good, finally found her. Well, it was running, no Melissa anywhere. But he looks in the back, and her son securely strapped in his car seat. So this was a little bit strange. And he noticed some tracks at in the front of the car, like in the sand, dirt, kind of like on the shoulder, on the rural areas. And, you know, it just seemed, just something didn't seem right. So he called the cops. And that's when detectives were dispatched, because Melissa Jenkins, like I said, was known in the community. So whenever they heard that she was not with her son, small community, they knew something was wrong. So they go into the scene, they start processing the scene. They see this shoe just kind of laying out in the middle of nowhere. And they're like, this doesn't look like it belongs. And there was also this black baseball cap. And it was laying out, and it had this like real distinctive red stripe on along the side of it. And they, you know, collected that as evidence, but there really wasn't anything else. And it looked just like a struggle had taken place. Maybe, you know, I mean, it's this kind of sandy median on the side of the roads. I mean, there's no telling how many things get thrown out of the car that mess it up and all. You can't really take a lot of information with, again, confirmation bias. You know, I'm really big into that. You can't go into that and think that a certain thing has happened. You just kind of have to take it as it comes. So they continue on processing, and they start the interview process with the child, because the child must have seen everything. And they brought in one of those investigators that specializes with children. And he was little because he was in a car seat. So he, I think it's like 3 or 4. So they get a detective that specializes in interviewing children. And this detective says, "What did you see? What happened to your mom?" And this is so chilling. The entire room of policemen were watching this, and the detectives were watching this interview on those screens in the back. And the little boy looks over and says, "Oh my gosh." Like, oh, I just hate that. You know, Brittany Vaughn talks about in her videos that she hates doing videos on children. And I watch the videos when she says that, because I don't have kids. So, you know, it's not that I'm not, you know, I don't even know what the word is, you know, sentimental toward children or anything. It's just that I don't have that same, you know, as a mother, some people take that kind of thing differently and more sensitive for them. But as I'm watching them, I'm like, I don't know why that would bother, you know, her to do videos. I mean, things happen that include kids sometimes. But then when you actually start recording it, it almost, when you verbalize it, it makes it more real. And just saying that that child sat there with those detectives like that, that's horrifying. And I just, yeah, I can totally understand where she's coming from whenever I see that kind of thing come up. But anyway, I digress. They ask him, you know, how many people were there? And he holds up 2 fingers, and he's so cute. He's like, he's so little that he's like, you know, yeah. So there's 2 people, and it looks like somebody had choked his mother, from what the kid said. So at this point, the police escalate things, and they start sending out, they dispatch detectives and policemen to, you know, comb the entire city and look for this lady, because she's obviously in pretty bad trouble. Well, then they bring her brother in for questioning, because, you know, he's the last one that really saw her in person, that kind of thing. And he mentions that there's someone they should look at named Ron Jacobs. Well, what are you talking about? He's the one that called 911. They said, yeah, they used to date. It didn't really work out, and he was bummed about that. She wasn't, but he was. So then before they bring Ron Jacobs back in, they take a look at his background. Whoopsie. Looks like he's had some charges filed on him before for providing false information to the police. Oh, great. So they bring him in, and he's like, yeah, that was when I was young. This, things have changed, you know, that's when I was a kid. This has nothing to do with this. I knew that Melissa didn't like me the same way I liked her, but we were just good friends. But he said, you know, that they were just friends. And, you know, that backed up his original story. He told everything over again, and it didn't change anything. So the police looked at his shoes. The tracks, the shoe prints from the scene didn't match. The missing shoe didn't match his. And he just wasn't acting like anybody that was hiding anything. So they basically, he wasn't cleared as a suspect, but he was taken off of the, you know, shit list, so to speak. So they asked him if he knew of anybody to look at, and they were like, well, you know, she does have an ex-husband, or the little boy's father. So then they asked him, who else should we be talking to? They said, well, the little boy's father. And so they bring in, his name was Bruce Roberts. So they bring him in, and they interview him. And he, you know, is like, I haven't seen her. I have no idea where she is. And I was at work, and he worked about, I think it was like 30 to 45 minutes away. And they verified, they said, well, you know, can anybody vouch for her? He's like, everybody on my team can, because I was at work, you know, I mean, I punched in everything. So his alibi checked out. He was taken off the list. At this point, police start searching her home, and they uncover some, you know, just paperwork and, you know, business cards and things, and just, you know, your miscellaneous stuff, your minutia that you have in your junk drawers and things like that. Nothing stuck out. That's what was crazy, is that there's not anything in disarray. There's nothing that was, you know, no blood drops or, you know, high velocity blood spatter, as we weirdos that love true crime know about. Nothing like that. I mean, thank God, because as of right now, it's just a missing person. So it looked like that maybe, for all I knew, they could have had car trouble. She gave them a jump and they said, hey, you know, let's go get something to eat. And for half a second, she forgot she brought her kid with. I don't know how, I don't know. But I'm just saying right now, they had no reason to believe that she was dead. And the looks of her house, it didn't look like anybody had been there and like forced her to leave. So they started to appeal to the public at this point. And the public started flipping out because, like I said, this whole community knew her. She was a great teacher, a physics teacher. So she was a female that was in the science category. And she taught at this little academy and everybody loved her. And on this interview that I saw, they had former students of hers and said that she had such an energy that it made them like something as quote unquote boring as physics whenever you're a kid. You know, whenever you're a teenager and all that, physics is friggin' boring. Of course, I'm a big nerd and I think physics is awesome, but you know, at the time I hated it. But now I'm a big nerd. As time goes on though, unfortunately, things aren't looking good. And even though there's no reason to assume that she's dead, that because of the child being in there, the more interviewing they do with people and how protective she was of that child, she never, ever, ever would have left that child. Would have never been one of those parents that kind of forgot and left them in the back seat. No way. Absolutely not. So then it was at this time, after they appealed to the public and didn't get anything back, that they had switched it from a missing persons to a possible homicide / recovery mission. So that kind of sucks. It was at this point that they started fanning out and looking at pull-offs, like truck stops, rest areas, boat launches, things like that. So about 10 miles away from the scene of the crime, there was a boat launch. It was pretty secluded and stuff. So they were just walking around on foot and they came across something that just didn't look right in the water. And it was a bunch of brush and stuff. And it was wintertime. So what's all this greenery and stuff doing down in the water? It just didn't, yeah. So they get closer, and then closer, and then they see feet. At that point, they believe that they had just found Miss Melissa Jenkins. But again, they hadn't confirmed it or anything with dental records or with anything like that because it hadn't decomposed and there was not that telltale scent of decay and decomposition because it was so cold. So, which actually works in their favor because when a body is stored in those conditions, basically like all the bruising that happened, all the marks, all the bleeding, all that, the body's frozen at that point or starting to get frozen. Capillaries haven't spilled out to their full potential whenever you're talking about like hematomas and surface bruising and things like that. But when they took the body back to the medical examiner's office, there were some strange things that started coming up. Strange things like equidistant, round, like not bruises, but it almost looked electrical, almost like stun gun. Then they start seeing more and more strangulation marks and things like that. So they started coming to the realization that she was definitely killed at the hands of somebody else. And since the little boy said 2 people, they were probably looking for 2 men. That's just what usually happens. And what I neglected to say earlier, actually, though, is that they also found cinder blocks where the people had attempted to sink the body. You know, I'm seeing more often than not that how hard, I thought that just, okay, let's just say that I needed to hide a body and I had access to a boat and I was going to sink a body. I would think, you know, 2 or 3 cinder blocks tied around a couple different areas, good to go. Man, apparently not. It's a lot harder to sink a body than you'd think. I mean, I don't know how many people have like, you know, baked on that information. I have because I'm weird and you're here, so you probably have to. So yeah, we're both weird. That's why we're friends. But anyway, So they found that there was also a little bit of a smell of bleach in the air, and bleach is funny. People think bleach solves everything, gets rid of so much evidence. It didn't do shit. It doesn't do anything. It might kill a little bit of bacteria, but stop. I don't know what y'all are thinking. Anyway, I digress again. Police then shift the search to her office to see if maybe there was a disgruntled other worker, to another teacher up there that didn't like her, maybe a student's parent, maybe, you know, she had given a kid detention and the parent didn't like it. I don't know. I mean, you guys have been watching, you know, McElroy and, you know, that mini series on Sundance, no one saw a thing. I mean, those kids were stealing stuff, went home, and their mom came back and threatened, and it resulted in those store owners getting shot. So, I mean, people get crazy about their kids when they're, you know, when they're criticized. So, who knows who said what? So, they started looking into it. Nothing. Everybody loved her. Everybody loved her. Then one of the reasons why she took the job as a waitress is because she got along so well with people that tips just flew into her because people loved interacting with her. They couldn't tell anything that made it clear as a motive as to why anybody would want to hurt her. So they were, again, stumped. They had no idea. Okay. Now this is where it gets even crazier. Crazier than my weird contouring. But you know what? We're going to go with it. We're going to do some drag queen makeup today. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do some pride makeup, even though it's not, you know, Pride Month. But we're going to do some drag queen makeup. So maybe if I can get some of my queens out there that watch, they can get some comments, because I would love to get some makeup tips from y'all. Anyway, all right. So this is where it gets crazy. Phone records came in. Ding, ding, ding. Right before she left, she got a call from a track phone. Now, anybody who's ever been broke, I know y'all, because we've both been there, or anybody else who just didn't want to be found, has bought a track phone from 7-Eleven or some gas station or Walmart or something. And those are burner phones. They're phones that you don't have to register a real name with or anything. Did you guys know that they can still track those things? I didn't know that until this episode. They can still track them, and they can still get the little pings and the little cell phone tower things. Well, it pinged right at the abduction site and right at the dump site. These stupid people that bought this track phone didn't even turn it off after they were done with their deed. So, I mean, anyway. So police said, okay, well, let's track this serial number to see where this track phone was distributed to and where someone purchased it. Boom! It was a little gas station outside of Littleton, Vermont, not too far away. So they take a little trip out there. They find a receipt. The person that bought the track phone, they paid with a check. I'm telling you, I don't want to say that I know how to do murder or commit a murder or whatever, but at the same time, I think I'd be a little bit better than these people, but you know, that's just me. Anyway, it came back to Patricia Prue. I mean, it's not a weird last name. It's just a... But where have they seen that before? That name sounded familiar. Just Prue. Oh, yeah. That was on the card that was found at her house in the little minutia in her junk drawer. Prue snow plowing. So they were like, we got to bring this Patricia and Alan Prue, this owner of these company. Bleh. They were like, we got to bring this Patricia Prue in for an interview. But they were like, we got to bring this Patricia Prue in. However, they didn't even have to call them. One of the detectives, when they get back to the precinct, looks outside, and guess who is in the lobby waiting to file a complaint about fraud because somebody has attempted to take their identity. That would be Patricia and Alan Peru, because someone tried to take their identity and use their checks. Girl, all you did was forget that you didn't cover all your tracks. But okay, they were like, we're going to let them do this. We're going to let them play this game. And all they're going to do is make our case stronger. And that's exactly what they did. They came in saying, well, I think it's my ex-husband. He's been using my identity and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I think that, you know, he might be trying to frame me. I mean, they were trying to do everything. It was awesome. I'm going to insert video here. This cop doesn't give a damn because he's like, no, tell me all about it. Tell me. And she's like, well, I can't find him because he's missing. And he's like, missing? Your ex-husband ain't missing. That girl on the news is missing.
She's not in that county no more.
Well, that doesn't mean missing. Missing is like the girl that's on the newspaper today. That she's missing.
Right.
She's gone. Nobody knows where she is. That's missing.
Quarter 15 minutes.
I'd blow my case right then saying, well, guess what? We know it was you. But you can't. You can't let your case go too much because, and that's a lot of time, they let these people go. And they let them go because they know they have enough on them, but they just want to make that case stronger because how many times have these people walked because of some stupid technicality? But that's where I would be a terrible detective because I would just be, yeah. Anyway. So, you think that's where it gets worse. Okay, so they go ahead and they ping that phone to see where it had gone, and they see that it had gone in different areas of Littleton, and so they find that there's just a little cluster of like fast food shops. There's some little grocery stores, like where they bought the track phone. So they subpoena video from the store. You can clearly see little chubby Patricia Prue toddling down the aisle with her old portly little husband, and they're all looking at the phones and like trying them out. And do you think this one will be good? Do you think this one will be good? I mean, it was pathetic. And you could clearly see that they were the purchaser of the phone. That's not even where it gets crazy. Like, okay, look at this. What do you see here when he's pulling out? What do you see right there? A man wearing a black baseball cap that has red trim on it. Like, seriously, I'm trying to think of a meme or a GIF, or technically GIF, but something to put up here that just means complete idiot. But I'm not even going to waste my breath or my energy on it. He's on the video wearing the same hat they found at the murder scene, or excuse me, the kidnapping scene. These people did not plan this out very well. It was at that time that the DA said, go pick them up, please. So that's when police picked up Patricia and Alan. Well, police go and pick up little Patricia and little Alan and bring them in for an interview. Patricia says, nope, know my rights. I want a lawyer. Boom, bada bing, bong. Well, the cops are like, shit. Let's go to Alan. They're like, Alan, how'd you meet this lady? He's like, well, we met on the internet. Crazy people meeting on the internet. That's where I met my husband. Anyway, but he just starts bawling. Like, this guy ain't a G. Like, he ain't written. He's gonna have fun in prison because he's just a little kid in a big man's body, and I do mean big. He starts bawling, and he cracks immediately. So it's like, well, I didn't have to push too hard on this one. They ask him what happened, and Alan starts the story of how they had gone to Melissa's house to plow her driveway. They were a little freaky. They were a couple of like swingers and yeah, get your groove on, you know, do your thing. They had that alternate lifestyle and go girl. If you want to do that, you do that. I guess. I mean, not the way that they like to do it, because as she was paying for the plowing, Patricia looks over at her husband like, oh yeah. They get in the car and Patricia's like, ooh, I want her. Well, okay. I mean, like, if that's your thing, then girl, you find a reason to hang out with her and flirt and get to know her and see if she's into that thing. And then you get your groove on. I mean, dude, whatever. You do you. I ain't here to judge. I don't care. I don't care. Apparently, they didn't think that was the way to go. Because, like, as they were walking away and stuff, Patricia had, like, lingered for the hug. And Melissa Jenkins was just like, okay, get the fuck off my property. Okay, they kept obsessing about this for like 4 days. They're like, well, how are we going to get her? How are we going to get her? So finally, they decided to do their ruse, like Patricia had mentioned before. And they said, today's the day we're going to get her, girl. And they called her and they said, hey, we're having car trouble and we're not too far from you. Can you help us? So, I mean, this is where their story, like, why did they go buy a phone to do this? But I guess they don't think ahead. I guess, you know, most of these people don't. But anyway, they're like, well, we're having car trouble. Can you please come and, you know, help out? Blah, blah, blah. Well, Melissa's sweet. She's a good girl. She's going to help them. She remembers them, you know. They were a little bit weird, but, you know, I mean, they're stranded. So, heck yeah, she's going to go help. So she takes her little boy and she puts him in the back seat. She calls her friend Ron and lets him know where she's going to be. Thank God. Well, when Melissa gets there, she gets out of her car, and the way that Alan described it was that she, you know, was like, the lights were on her eyes, and she was like, is anybody, you know, who's there? Hello? You know, are you okay? Do you need help? And that they just pounce on her and grab her. And they used, Patricia used a stun gun to subdue her. And that, hold on. Patricia used a stun gun to subdue her. And, like, it wasn't even about sex at that point. I don't know if they said that to cover up something, because, like, they immediately started choking her. And, you know, I don't understand if there were, like, I don't know what they were planning on doing, because it definitely wasn't a sexual thing. It was a domination and kidnapping thing. Like, it had nothing to do with sex. Detectives could tell that there was a violent struggle in that dirt, because now that, you know, because, I mean, before they didn't know whether or not to just dismiss the, you know, lines in the dirt as, you know, cars driving by and throwing things or whatnot. And they could clearly see now that those marks that were made in the dirt were made by shoes, and that she was absolutely fighting for the safety of her and her child. So, like, the girl put up a fight, and but it was 2 against 1. So clearly she had no, you know, way of really winning that fight, especially with those. I know body shaming ain't a thing right now, but they were big people anyway. And I could say that because I was a big girl one time. I was a big girl. Oof. But yeah, so I can say that. I can be ugly. But getting back to the story, like, if you guys aren't putting your lashes on like this, you are wasting so much time. I'm telling you, it is just, it's awesome. I love it. Anyway, so they subdue her, they get her in the back seat, and then Patricia makes sure that she's dead by continuing to choke her. I'm still trying to get the whole sexual culmination thing, because if she's dead, then what good is she to normal people? I hope that they weren't necrophilia and whatever. That's all trend. I don't know what they're. Anyway, we're gonna pretend I didn't say that. So, getting back to the story. Hold on. So they take her back to their house, and they're like, what the fuck are we going to do with her now? And they're like, oh, I've got an idea. Let's pour bleach all over her so we can get rid of the evidence. Okay, Homer, go ahead and do that. Get your banjo out and play it while you do that. I mean, what the fuck? Anyway. And then they grabbed some cinder blocks, and guess what? When they searched the property, they found cinder blocks that matched the same cinder block that was tied to her. At least use all of them or something. I mean, why would you? And you know what? I ain't even gonna waste time. But they drive out to this little secluded boat launch and dump the body and put some leaves over it because nobody will notice if it's got leaves on it. Again, banjo time. Come on. Break out your harmonicas. Let's slap some spoons and make some music. And these people they got a combined IQ of about 25. So, well, Alan is not really being the most loyal spouse. And he cuts a deal. He's like, hell yeah, I'm going to testify against her and I'm going to get a reduced sentence and bada bing, bada boom. So, you know, the DA agrees. They have an airtight case. So, and I don't know if they went to trial or not, but I do know that Alan Prue, received a life sentence and that Patricia Prue, received life without the chance for parole. So she is gone down the river without a paddle. So that's basically the story of Melissa Jenkins. I'm not even close to being done with my makeup, so we're just going to sit and talk while I do my lipstick. So, okay. This will be the part of the video where we sit and talk and chat. This will be the part of the video where we chat. What the hell? I mean, the girl thought that Melissa was hot, so she killed her. I don't understand. I don't know if, like, there's some other stuff that they want. Maybe were they thrill killers? Did they want to, like, kill her instead and see if that was something that was hot? Like, they didn't get into the fact of whether or not if after they killed her, they, like, you know, went crazy and had some animalistic sex when they got home or anything. Because, I mean, at least that, while they're batshit crazy, it at least explains it. Like, as it is right now, and as it is with the public record, it just seems like they just went out and just murdered the girl for no reason. Did they want to keep her as a slave and accidentally choke her? Because it didn't seem like it. It seems like that they just went for it. Just bam, dude, let's get this bitch. I'm absolutely floored. So what do you guys think? This looks like it's green. I thought it was gold. That is green. Oh, hey, let's roll with it. You know what? This is the internet, baby. You want to have green lips, you can. And let's highlight those green lips with some orange. I love using eyeshadows on top of Lipsense. It's so much fun. I love it. But while we're green, let's see. Oh, look at that. Boom. Have you guys ever, like, known any couples that were, like, a little freaky like that? Has anybody ever talked to you about that kind of thing? Wanting to kidnap someone and kill them for no reason? Just kidding. I don't want to know. I am not about to be your material witness. But let me know in the comments. And let me know about if you ever heard of this case. I've never heard of this. I was in bed. I go to sleep watching this stuff. I have some really weird dreams. And this came on and it's kept me up because it was just such a good story. And of course, Joe Kenda telling it. I mean, you're just like, what? My. Oh, I love him. I want to get a t-shirt that has his, like, a rendering of his portrait saying my, because I say that all the time in his voice in my head. My. Oh, I love him. Anyway. But thank you for watching, and I did say that this was going to be drag queen inspired, so hold on. Girl, you can't be a queen if you ain't glittering, so yeah, you got to get your glitter on. Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, there's no such thing as too much glitter. Oh, I'm banned from having glitter in the kitchen. That's actually been a rule that's been bestowed upon me that I don't follow, but that's okay. My husband seems to think that I follow it, but I don't. Ooh. Oh. Yes, see, that's what you do when you're dressing for the queens. You got to get your sparkle on. You got to get your iridescence on. You got to get your glitter on. Let's get some more powder because I've got my highlighter on fleek because I'm apparently reflecting like nobody's business. I can't find my powder. Oh, okay. All right, how is that for a finished look? You know what? I think I need some more contouring. What do you guys think? I think that I'm going to do some contour. And you know what? I don't understand this whole, let's use all these sticks and all these fabulous. Man, no, you use your fingers. Oh, yes. Oh, look at those cheeks. Boom. So now you are out there and you are getting your Vogue on. So there you go, girls. Talk to you later. And I can't wait to see you guys again. I've heard from some of you guys in the comments, and that's so awesome. Oh my goodness. And I've even had some recommendations, and the story that was recommended, it's not really that long, and it gave me an idea to where I can do, because I like doing fun, weird stuff with my lips, and I like doing like some crazy stuff with my eyes, and I can do shorts, and it's just basically a retelling of the story that just happened somewhere locally that may not have been news. That's still horrifying. It's still fun for us to talk about because we're weirdos and we're friends, right? Anyway, so that's might start coming. You might see some shorter videos coming because I have a tendency to ramble, and I'm going to stop rambling right now. See you later.